The battlefield was quiet now. Ash floated in the wind. The sky was dark, full of smoke and fire. Broken weapons, crashed ships, and bodies lay all around. The war had ended here. But only for the dead. She was still alive. Her name was Kelari. She was a young alien warrior from the planet Varela. Her armor was cracked. Her legs trembled. One side of her face was bleeding. But she stood tall, her weapon held tight in her shaking hands. She was the last one left from her unit. The others, her friends, her sisters in arms, were all gone. Some had died screaming. Some had died protecting her. Kelari didn't even have time to cry. There was no time left for pain or sorrow. Only one thing mattered now: fighting until her last breath. From behind the broken rocks, shadowy creatures moved. Their eyes glowed red. They were not soldiers. They were beasts, bioengineered killing machines, sent by the enemy. Fast, strong, merciless. And they were closing in. Kelari took a deep breath. Her body hurt, but her will did not break. She raised her blade. If this was her last fight, she would make it count. One of the beasts charged. She swung hard, cutting across its chest. Black blood sprayed. Another one leapt at her from the side. She dodged and stabbed upward. But she was slower now, weaker. Her shoulder was dislocated. Her vision was blurry. A claw hit her back, knocking her down. Kelari gasped as pain exploded through her. She rolled away just in time to avoid being torn in half. But her weapon fell. She reached for it, coughing blood. But the beast stepped. On her hand, she screamed. The beast raised its claw. It was about to end her. Then bang, a gunshot rang through the air. The beast's head snapped back, and it collapsed beside her. Dead, Kelari blinked. Confused. Another shot. Another beast fell. She turned her head slowly. Standing on a small ridge above the battlefield was a tall figure, a human. His armor was dirty, scratched but strong. His eyes were focused, cold like ice. Smoke rose from the barrel of his gun. He jumped down the rocks and walked toward her, firing with perfect aim. Each shot hit a beast between the eyes. No wasted bullets, no hesitation. Kelari watched in silence. Her people had called humans weak, slow, soft. But this man moved like death itself. When the last beast dropped, the human rushed to her. He knelt beside her and pulled a small med kit from his belt. "You alive?" he asked, his voice low but calm. Kelari stared at him. Why did you help me?" she whispered, her voice weak. He smirked slightly. "Because you're not dead yet, and I don't like seeing someone brave get eaten." He quickly scanned her wounds, wrapping a bandage around her bleeding arm. "You're lucky," he said. "If I hadn't seen your flare signal from the hills, you'd be lunch, right?" Now Kelari blinked. "But I didn't send a signal." He paused. "Then someone else wanted me here," he said quietly, almost to himself. She looked at him more closely now. He didn't wear any flag or symbol, no badge, no rank. "You're not a soldier?" "Not anymore," he replied. "Name's Jackson." He helped her sit up gently. She winced in pain but nodded. She was strong, he could see that. "Kelari," she said. "Well, Kelari," Jackson said, handing her a small water capsule. "Looks like we're in this mess together now." She drank slowly, her hands still shaking. "Where did you come from?" she asked. "Long story. Right now we need to move. These things don't travel alone." Kelari tried to stand but stumbled. Jackson caught her. "You're in no shape to walk. I'll carry you." Before she could argue, he lifted her in his arms. She was surprised at how easily he did it. As he walked toward the hills, she whispered, "You fight well." He smiled, without looking at her. "So do you. But you don't have to fight alone anymore." Kelari's eyes slowly closed, exhaustion pulling her under. For the first time in days, she didn't feel fear. She didn't feel alone, and far above them, a hidden drone hovered silently. Watching. Recording. Someone was very interested in what had just happened. Asterisk. It wasn't the fire or pain that woke. Kalari. It was laughter. Soft, human, strange. Her eyes opened slowly. Blurred vision cleared, revealing a dim cave lit by a glowing heat orb. Warmth spread through the air. She was wrapped in a blanket. Her wounds had been cleaned. Bandages covered her arms and side. She turned her head, and there he was. The human, Jackson. He sat a few feet away, cooking something over a small burner. A strange metal stick in one hand. In the other, he held a tiny glowing screen that showed cartoons. He chuckled again, watching little animated creatures chase each other. Like nothing else in the galaxy was trying to kill them. Kalari blinked. "You're laughing?" Jackson glanced over. "Yeah," he said, smiling. "It's a classic. You ever seen a Looney Tune?" She stared. "I don't even know what that means." He chuckled again and turned off the screen. "Didn't think so. But if we're gonna die tomorrow, we might as well laugh today, right?" Kalari sat up with effort. Her body ached, but she felt stronger than before. The human had treated her wounds well. Better than any battlefield medic. "Where are we?" she asked. "Cave in Sector 9G, abandoned scout post. Found it years ago. No one comes here, it's off the maps." Jackson handed her a food bar and a water pouch. "Eat. You'll need it." She took the food carefully. "Why are you helping me?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood up and walked to the mouth of the cave. Outside, the sky was still gray, smoke still floating. But the sounds of battle were far now. After a moment, he spoke. "Because no one helped me when I needed it. I was left behind too." Kalari looked at him. Something in his voice felt heavy, full of old pain. "You were a soldier?" "Yeah," he nodded. "Earth's Special Forces. We came to help this sector 5 years ago. Got ambushed. My unit. They didn't make it." She lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry," he shrugged. "You fight long enough, you stop expecting anyone to say that." Kalari looked at her hands. "My unit is gone too. They told me to fall back. I refused. I couldn't leave the city unguarded, so they left me instead." Jackson turned back to her. "That's why I knew you weren't dead. I saw your file once. Kalari, daughter of fire, trained in blade combat. Honors in command. You don't just lie down and die." She stared in shock. "You saw my file." He sat down again. "I have access to things. I move between networks. I watch the forgotten corners. You're not the only one people left behind." Kalari's breathing slowed. She didn't know why. But sitting here with him, she felt something she hadn't felt in days. Safe. Jackson reached into his pack and pulled out a small device. He tapped it once. A 3D map appeared in the air, glowing red and blue dots, showing enemy patrols. "They're moving fast. They're not after the city anymore," he said. "They're looking for you." She frowned. "Why? I'm just one soldier." Jackson looked at her seriously. "No, you're more than that. You were guarding something, weren't you?" Kalari's eyes widened. "I was..." She hesitated. "There's a vault beneath the temple ruins. My team was ordered to protect it at all costs. I never even saw what was inside. But the enemy, they didn't want to kill me. They tried to capture me, twice." Jackson nodded slowly. "That's what I thought." He stood and walked toward a nearby wall. There, under a loose rock, he pulled out a metal case. Inside, weapons, tools, and a strange old key. "What's that?" Kalari asked. "A key," he said. "To something I never understood until now." He looked at her, eyes sharp. "I think that vault is connected to something older, something buried deep on this planet. Something the enemy wants bad." Kalari stood up slowly, swaying just a little. "Then we destroy it before they can." "Take it," Jackson smiled. There's the fire I saw in you." She looked at him hard. "You're strange, human. You fight like a machine but smile like a fool." He laughed. "Maybe I'm both." Then he handed her a new blade. "Come on, daughter of fire. Let's make some trouble." Kalari woke to the sound of silence. But not the peaceful kind. It was the kind of silence that screamed danger. She sat up quickly. The fire in the cave had gone out. The heat orb was off. Jackson's bedroll was empty. His bag was gone. He had disappeared. Kalari stood up, her heart racing. Her wounds were better now, but her body still ached. The strange human had risked his life to save her, and now he was gone without a word. She grabbed her weapon and stepped. Outside the cave, the sky was darker than before. A cold wind blew. Dust floated in the air like ash. Far in the distance, she heard a faint humming sound, low, mechanical, like a ship. But it was getting closer. She scanned the area. Then she saw it. A red light blinking on a rock nearby. Something small, round, and dangerous. A tracker. Her blood turned cold. Jackson hadn't left her. Someone had found them. 10 minutes later, Kalari was running through the rocky hills, trying to follow the boot tracks in the dust. Her body was tired, but her mind was sharp. She followed the trail until it ended at a high cliff. She climbed it, slowly and quietly. At the top she froze. Below, in the valley, she saw Jackson, but he wasn't alone. 4 enemy soldiers in black armor surrounded him. Their weapons were drawn. One of them was speaking. She listened carefully, staying low. "We only want the girl," said the leader. His voice was robotic, cold. "Hand her over, human, and we'll let you live." Jackson laughed softly. "Yeah? And who told you I wanted to live?" The soldier stepped forward. "She's not like the others. She carries the code in her blood." Kalari's eyes widened. "Code? In her blood?" Jackson said nothing. But Kalari saw his hand slowly reaching behind his back. The soldier continued. "She doesn't even know what she is. But we do. She's the key to the vault. The blood gate only opens for her kind, and once it opens, your whole species dies." Kalari's heart pounded. They didn't want her dead. They wanted to use her. She gripped her blade tight. She couldn't wait. Jackson was outnumbered. She had to act now, suddenly. Jackson moved, fast, violent, precise. He pulled a hidden blade from his belt and sliced one soldier's leg. Gunfire exploded. Kalari jumped down from the cliff, blade in hand, screaming as she landed in the middle of the fight. She fought like fire, swinging, dodging, striking. The enemies didn't expect her. One went down fast. Another tried to run, but Jackson shot him in the back. The leader roared and charged at her. Kalari met him head on. Their weapons clashed. Sparks flew. He was strong, but she was angry now. Angry at being hunted. Angry at being used. With a scream, she drove her blade into his chest. He gasped. "Too late," he whispered. "They already know. More are coming." Then he died. Kalari fell to her knees, breathing hard. Blood ran down her face and arms. Jackson helped her up. "You okay?" She nodded barely. "What did he mean?" she asked. "What code? What gate?" Jackson looked at the sky. "I don't know everything yet," he said, "but I've heard stories. Your ancestors weren't just warriors, they were guardians. Long ago, they locked away something powerful. They used their own blood as the key. Only their bloodline can open it." Kalari stared at her hands. "That's why they didn't kill me." Jackson nodded. "They need you alive. And they'll keep sending more." She looked at him. "Then what do we do?" He looked toward the east, where the land dipped into darkness. "We go to the vault," he said. "And we get there before they do." Kalari was quiet for a moment. Then she whispered, "If I'm the key, does that mean I'm also the weapon?" Jackson didn't answer. He just checked his gun, reloaded, and gave her a sharp look. "Let's find out." The ground was still bleeding. Black soil, soaked with smoke and ash, cracked beneath their boots as Kalari and Jackson walked in silence. This place had once been a great city, a proud capital of her people. Now it was a graveyard of metal and memory. Buildings lay in ruin. Towers stood broken, leaning like bones of giants. The battlefield had ended here weeks ago, but the pain still hung in the air like a ghost. Kalari paused. Her eyes stared at a shattered statue, one she remembered from childhood. It used to stand outside the old temple gates. A tall figure holding a glowing orb. Now the head was gone, and its arms lay broken beside the body. Jackson knelt nearby, brushing away dirt from a strange stone plate on the ground. "It's here," he said quietly. "Under this." Kalari stepped closer. "How do you know?" He tapped the stone. A faint pulse responded, blue light flashing once, then fading. "I've been here before," he said. "Years ago. Before the war reached this planet." "You were spying?" she asked. Jackson gave her a dry smile. "I was surviving. There's a difference." She looked around. "This place, it was called Varellan's Cradle. They say the stars first touched our people here. That the gate of fire lies below." He stood up, brushing dust from his hands. "Then let's open it." Kalari frowned. "Only one of blood may pass. That's what the old war songs say." Jackson pointed to the plate. "Then bleed on it." She raised an eyebrow. "Seriously?" He nodded. Kalari sighed, pulled her glove off, and cut her palm gently. A few drops of blue blood dripped onto the stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground shook. The stone circle split down the middle, cracking open like an eye waking from sleep. Dust flew as ancient gears turned, grinding against time. A hidden door slid open in the earth, revealing stairs descending into dark red light. Jackson stared. "I didn't actually think that would work," he muttered. Kalari gave him a look. "Next time, believe me when I say our songs aren't just songs." They stepped down into the darkness. The air grew warmer with each step. Strange carvings lined the wall, symbols Kalari hadn't seen since her school years. Some glowed softly, some whispered, as if voices were trapped inside the stone. "What is this place?" Jackson asked. Kalari touched a wall gently. "It's a blood vault. Our ancestors built them to hide knowledge and power, things too dangerous for war." They reached the final chamber. And stopped. In the center of the room was a floating orb of red and gold light. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Beneath it lay a giant metal ring covered in alien script, weapons, armor, data crystals. But none of that mattered. It was the orb that pulled their eyes. Jackson whispered, "That's not technology." Kalari nodded. "It's a living memory." He turned to her. "Come again?" She stepped forward slowly. "Our ancestors didn't write books. They put thoughts, souls, feelings into these memory cores. This one is ancient." Jackson looked uneasy. "Can it be trusted?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward and reached out. The orb pulsed, then floated gently into her palm. She gasped as images filled her mind. War, fire, a giant machine tearing across the stars. Screams, soldiers falling, worlds dying. Then a voice spoke in her head. "Daughter of fire, you are the last key. The enemy seeks the source. If they reach it, your galaxy will burn." She dropped the orb, breathing hard. Jackson caught her. "What did you see?" Kalari looked at him, eyes wide. "It's not just about the vault," she said. "It's about what's deeper. This is just the first lock." He frowned. "There's more?" She nodded. "Below this, there's something older, something powerful. Our people called it the source flame. The enemy wants to wake it." Jackson stood in silence. Then from above, boom. The ceiling shook. Dust rained down. Kalari's eyes narrowed. "They found us." Jackson loaded his gun. "Then we hold the line." Kalari looked down at her cut hand, now glowing faintly. No, she said. We go deeper. He looked at her. You sure? She smiled faintly. I didn't survive all this to die here. Not now. Together, they turned toward the second door, half buried, ancient, and locked. But Kelari stepped forward, and it opened. For her, the door closed behind them with a heavy thud, locking out the world. And maybe locking in death. Kelari stood frozen. The tunnel ahead was narrow and old, filled with thick fog and red lights flickering from the walls. The floor felt like it pulsed under her boots, as if the place itself was breathing. Jackson exhaled slowly. Why does this feel like we're walking into the lungs of something alive? Kelari didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the strange markings glowing along the stone path. They shifted slowly, like veins under skin. We're close. She whispered, too close. They followed the tunnel deeper until it opened into a wide chamber, round and ancient. The center was empty. Except for a single metal box. It was small. Too small. Jackson raised his gun. Trap, Kelari nodded. Definitely. But before either could move, a loud voice echoed behind them. Step away from the vault, Kelari. It was a voice she knew. Kelari spun around. A man stood there, tall, in black armor with a broken symbol on his shoulder. Her eyes widened. Commander Tarek? The figure stepped into the red light, his face now clear. He looked older, worn, but unmistakable. I thought you were dead, she said, shocked. He smirked. You weren't the only one left behind. Jackson narrowed his eyes. Friend of yours? Kelari didn't respond. Tarek took another step forward. I told High Command that this vault was dangerous, he said calmly. They didn't listen. So I found others who would. Her heart sank. You're working with them. He nodded, not by choice. But survival has a cost. Kelari stepped back. What did you give them? Your name, your bloodline, your location. Jackson lifted his weapon. And what do they give you? A nice grave after? Tarek didn't smile. He pulled out detonator and held it high. They gave me one task. Destroy the chamber if I fail to bring her out. That time is now. He pressed a button. Beep, beep. Kelari's head snapped toward the center of the room. 3 red dots blinked under the floor panels. Bombs, she said sharply. 3 charges. Jackson cursed under his breath. Give me 10 seconds. He dropped his rifle and ran toward the center, tools already in his hands. Tarek stepped forward. You can't stop them. Kelari blocked his path. You're not going near him. He raised a blade. So be it. They clashed, hard metal on metal, each swing sharp and angry. Sparks flew. Tarek was strong, but Kelari was fueled by betrayal. She fought like fire, like wind, like a storm that refused to die. Meanwhile, Jackson ripped open the first floor panel and stared at the ticking device. 7 seconds. He cut the green wire. 6 seconds. Sparks. Wrong wire. Of course. He growled. Back to the red wire. Snip. 4 seconds. The first bomb shut off. 1 down. Tarek knocked Kelari down and raised his blade when a blast from Jackson's pistol sent him crashing back. I said 10 seconds. Jackson shouted. Kelari rolled to her feet and kicked the second panel open. Work together, she said. Now! She held the wires with steady hands while Jackson worked beside her. She didn't flinch. Second bomb defused. Tarek groaned, crawling toward the third. Kelari grabbed a fallen pipe and smashed it across his face. He dropped. Jackson knelt by the final bomb. 8 seconds. He worked fast. Cut, strip, twist. 3 seconds. Beep. Then dash silence. The chamber was still again. Kelari sat back, breathing hard. Tarek lay unconscious. Jackson slumped beside her. Well, he said, that was fun. She laughed softly, even through the pain. You almost blew us up. Wouldn't be the first time, he replied. Grinning, they looked at the sealed vault in the center. Kelari's voice grew quiet. What's in there that's worth so much death? Jackson stared at it. Whatever it is. They fear it. Which means maybe we should open it before they do. Kalari nodded. Then let's finish this. Silence never felt so loud. The bombs were disarmed. The enemy commander lay tied in the corner, unconscious. And the vault. Still unopened. But it wasn't the danger that made Kalari's hands shake now. It was the quiet. For the first time. In days, no screams, no blood, no fire. Just her and him. Jackson sat near the vault, arms resting on his knees, eyes staring at the strange alien locks on the metal door. Kalari stood nearby, watching him. Something in his face had changed. He didn't look like the bold, joking human anymore. He looked tired. No, he looked haunted. She finally spoke. What are you thinking about? He didn't answer at first. Then, he said softly, my team. The day they died. She stayed quiet. I wasn't a hero, he continued. I was just lucky. They pulled me out of the fire, and I ran. They didn't. I've been running ever since. Kalari stepped closer, sitting down beside him. We all ran from something, she said. Jackson looked at her. But you ran toward the fight. You didn't leave your post, even when your own command abandoned you. I didn't know what else to do, she replied. My duty was all I had left. They sat in silence for a while. Finally, she turned to him. Why did you really come back for me? Jackson looked down. His voice was low. Because when I saw you on that ridge, fighting alone, I saw myself. And I thought if I can pull someone out, maybe I don't have to carry so much guilt anymore. She stared at him. No words. Just quiet understanding. Slowly, Kalari reached over and took his hand. She squeezed it gently. Not as a soldier. Not as a warrior. As someone who understood. You're not alone anymore, she whispered. He looked at her, really looked, and smiled. A real smile. Later, they stood before the vault again. Kalari raised her hand to the glowing panel. Her blood had opened the first door. This was something deeper. This is no normal lock, she said. It responds to memory. To emotion. Jackson raised an eyebrow. You mean it reads your feelings? She nodded. Yes, it needs to. Know who I am, not just what I am. She placed her hand on the center plate. Images flickered in her mind. Her mother training her with a blade. Her first mission. Her unit laughing in a field before the war. Then the fire, the screams. Her friends dying. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't hold them back. The vault pulsed, once, twice. Then opened. Inside was not a weapon. Not exactly. It was a suit armor made of silver threads and glowing light. Ancient, beautiful, alive, Jackson whistled. I take it that's not standard issue? Kalari stepped forward slowly. This is the Flameheart. Our last gift from the Star Guardians. It binds to only one bloodline, mine. She touched the chest of the armor. The light flowed over her hand like water. Jackson looked around. No data, no secret weapon? Kalari smiled faintly. This is the weapon. She stepped into the center. The armor rose, wrapping around her like mist, fitting her perfectly. When it was done, she turned. Stronger, brighter. Different. Jackson smirked. You look terrifying. She raised an eyebrow. Good. Then the ground shook. Not small. Not local. The entire mountain rumbled. Jackson checked his scanner. They're here, dozens, maybe more, dropships, tanks. Kalari's voice was calm now. Let them come. He looked at her, but something in her eyes had changed. No longer just a soldier. No longer alone. Now, she was the fire. He picked up his rifle. One last fight? She smiled. No, one first fight with someone beside me. They turned side by side, toward the upper tunnel. Toward the war. The sky was on fire. Red clouds cracked with lightning. Enemy dropships filled the air like vultures descending fast. The old ruins trembled with the thunder of war machines, but at the center of the chaos, two figures stood still. One wore glowing alien armor light pulsing from her chest like a heartbeat. The other, a scarred human in battered gear, calm and ready, his rifle steady in his hands. Kalari and Jackson, standing together at the edge of the mountain path, watching the enemy come. They brought an army, Jackson muttered. Kalari smiled. Then let's show them what two forgotten souls can do. They moved like lightning through the ruins. Kalari led the charge, her new armor making her faster, stronger, sharper. Every movement felt like fire under her skin. Her blade glowed with ancient power, cutting enemy soldiers in half before they could blink. Jackson fought beside her, not as a follower, but as her equal. His aim was perfect. Every shot found a target. He moved with trust, never watching her back, because he knew she had his. Explosions tore through the air. Enemy tanks fired. Drones swarmed overhead. Kalari leapt through the air, slicing through a gunship wing. It exploded behind her as she landed beside Jackson again, 200 meters to the control ship. He shouted, "That's our target," she replied. "We cut the head, the body falls." They reached the final wall. Behind it stood the enemy commander. Not Tarek. Someone worse. A tall alien in black and red armor, face hidden behind a metal mask, voice deep and slow. "You are too late," the commander said. "The source flame will be ours." Kalari stepped forward. "You're not touching it." He raised a massive energy weapon. "Then you die." A blast shot out too fast to dodge. Kalari pushed Jackson aside and took the full hit to the chest. The armor flared bright, then cracked. She fell to her knees. Jackson screamed, "Kalari!" He fired everything: grenades, plasma, bullets. The commander roared in pain, falling back. Jackson dropped beside her. "Stay with me. Come on, stay with me." She opened her eyes weakly. "You're shouting," she whispered. He laughed through tears. "You're bleeding, that's why." She touched his cheek. "You fight well, human." He held her tightly. "But you're not alone." With her last bit of strength, she took his hand and placed it on the cracked armor's core. Light flared. The flame heart shifted. It accepted him. His eyes widened as warmth spread through his body. Kalari smiled faintly. "Now, we fight together." Jackson stood, now wearing part of the armor's glow, power running through his veins. He charged the enemy commander, dodging blasts, striking hard. The sky turned white. Explosions filled the air, and then silence. Hours later, the battlefield was quiet again, but this time, the silence was peaceful. Jackson sat beside Kalari, her head resting in his lap, eyes open, alive but weak. "They're retreating," he said softly. "It's over." She smiled. "We won." He looked down at her, brushing dirt from her cheek. "No," he said, "we survived." Epilogue. Weeks later, Kalari stood on a small hill. No armor now, just her own skin. Beside her, Jackson leaned on a metal staff, healing but still tough. Below them, the people of Virella were rebuilding. Children laughed. Ships returned. The war was ending. "Think they'll remember us?" Jackson asked. Kalari smiled. "They don't need to. We remember each other. That's enough." He nodded. "Still, I wouldn't mind a statue or two." She laughed. "You're impossible." He gave her a sideways look. "And yet you fought beside me." She stepped closer and took his hand. "No," she whispered. "I chose you." He looked at her, eyes soft. Together, they watched the sunrise. Two warriors, one bond, not alone anymore.